We're going to have Charles Greig, VP of Exploration. GT Gold is focused on exploring for gold in BC's famed Golden Triangle, which you've heard a lot of over the last yesterday and today. The company achieved just 9 months ago a major new gold-silver discovery at its Saddle Prospect, which is located up a gentle valley just 10 kilometers off of Highway 37. So Charles, please tell us more.
Thanks very much, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks very much to the Canadian Mining Symposium and Canada House for having us here today. As you can see from the title slide there, this is the Saddle Gold discovery. It's a new discovery up in northwest BC. And the other thing you can see from this photograph is that we have an excellent partnership with the Tahltan First Nation. So this is basically our technical team, people that deal with the drill core that we're pulling out of the ground. And about half the people here, actually a little more than half the people in this view, are Tahltan First Nations from the local communities, the closest of which is about 10-15K from our project area. So we're very happy to have them as partners. They're excellent partners. Excellent people and great workers, and I think almost to a person in this view, they're all coming back to our second drill program that begins right at the start of June. So a great group we got here. Okay, I'm going to move through this presentation really quickly. I am going to make some forward-looking statements. So there you go. Have a quick read. And this is kind of the way I'm going to go through the presentation, starting with location, access, infrastructure. I'm going to kind of go on a little bit about this, just so you get a bit more view of what the Golden Triangle is all about. And then I'm going to pretty much bypass the tectonic and regional geologic setting. Believe me, I can go on forever on this kind of thing. I've worked a lot on the geology up in that neck of the woods for a long time. So if you want to learn more about that, buttonhole me afterward. And then we'll just go over the geophysical and geochemical expression kind of briefly again of the project, and then get into the 2017 drill results we had on this new discovery. Take a quick look at mineralization, and then I'll run you through our plans for this year upcoming. Okay, Golden Triangle, you've seen this maybe in a number of presentations over the last couple of days. This triangle does kind of move, the apices kind of stretch out a little bit, and we're actually up in the upper right-hand corner there, up near the village of Iskut. And one of the things about our project that's I'm going to go on about in a minute a bit more is it's right close to the highway, so infrastructure access is great on our project. And we also are very close to power infrastructure. So this is a new Northwest Transition line that went in the last few years, and it comes right within 10K or so of our project. So that's a fantastic game changer for us. It would really help out if we got to the development stage, which we're not quite there at, but we're getting there. Access is improved generally in the area. There's some other access roads into other power projects. And then just to give you a sense, I'm just going to step through a number of views of different parts of the Golden Triangle. So you may have listened to the Ascot presentation this morning. This is a view of Stewart. So this is Canada's most northerly ice-free port. The border between the U.S. and Canada kind of runs right up the inlet there, and then right up that central mountain in this view. Stewart and Hyder are sort of neighboring communities, one on the U.S. side, Hyder, Stewart on the BC side. So it's right at the south end of the Alaska Panhandle there. And the actual Ascot project is in that left-hand valley there on the Canadian side, the Silback Premier Big Missouri project that was discussed earlier today. So the Golden Triangle is kind of known for this kind of spectacular scenery, and that was also alluded to. Just a wonderful place in terms of scenery, not always for weather, but that was a nice day. And the weather has changed over the years, as Ross alluded to. Definitely climate change is affecting things. The previous view was my son a few years ago at Bruce Jack. This was me, maybe almost 30 years ago up in the same region. So the ice is melting, it's still up there, a lot of ice still around. And that provides some challenges. And the reason I'm showing this view, this is Bruce Jack's new mine there, or Pretium's new mine at Bruce Jack. I worked there for quite a while, and you can see that definitely challenges. They come up that glacier as part of their road access. So keep that in mind when you see what our access is with the GT's project. So these challenges are large, but they can be overcome, and that's an important thing. But it's nice when you aren't faced, with that kind of access problem. And this is another view. This is kind of what's going on up there. This is a view of Seabridge's Iron Cap project. So you can see the spots on that glacier. Those spots are drill pads or drills. A couple of drills, I think, there in that view, but other drill pads. So even though there's challenges, you can meet them. But with GT, we're not really faced with quite the challenges as some of the other projects. So definitely cell phone country. Lots of selfies on a nice day, but also some challenges up there, as you can see, weather-wise and otherwise. There's always something lurking out there. Okay, now that was a little bit of a negative view, that Jabba the Hutt, we call it, that mountain. But the other thing about the Golden Triangle is it truly is a world-class jurisdiction. So I'm not going to get into what this diagram really means. It's kind of a grade tonnage plot. So tonnage on the horizontal axis and grade on the vertical. And these are sort of global deposits of all different kinds. So the different colors encircle different types of deposits of different grade, just for comparison. So there's some really well-known deposits on there. Here's sort of Abitibi Belt orogenic gold deposits, Abitibi and others. So these are sort of the world-class deposits up in the upper right-hand side. So anything, up toward the upper right-hand corner is really a fabulous, gold producer of one sort or another. And I'm showing these. This is the Carlin Trend, so another series of really great deposits. And I'm showing these just to compare to some of the Golden Triangle deposits, which are on here. So many that are sort of toward the lower left that are not of good grade, great grade, but some great deposits there. Eskay Creek, for example, up near the upper left. A pretty small deposit, but huge value per ton. And then you see this big group down on the lower right, the yellow squares. Those are the porphyry copper gold deposits up in that district. So they haven't been developed yet. They're resources. They're challenged by the infrastructure and the fact that it's difficult to get in there and develop them, and the capital costs it'll take to do that. VOK is basically Pretium's Bruce Jack project. So you can see that one's, they're still working things out, but definitely if they get their act together and figure it all out, it's going to be a really high-value deposit. So definitely a place where some great things are happening and some great things continue to happen. Another one I should point out is Silback Premier Big Missouri, that Ascot one there. So they're moving up the curve towards some of the biggies if they can keep it rolling. Okay, so here we are. We're just going to focus on the saddle now. This is pretty much the same view as we showed with all the glaciers, etc. on it. And there we are in northwest BC. There's Highway 37. So this takes us up right past Iskut. And then the next view is highlighted here. So this is the Tatoga property where our saddle project is, right up in the upper right-hand corner of the Golden Triangle. And a big key for that project is the access. So there's saddle with the gold star, or the red star. There's the highway. There's the power line that goes up to the Red Chris mine. So again, we're in Tahltan territory. This is a great place to be. They are mining supportive First Nation. Red Chris mine has been producing for a few years now. An excellent resource, a really long-term kind of project that should generate wealth for a long time. The other thing I should note is that the power line actually extends up to the village of Iskut, so closer to our project. And this is kind of the route we take to get into our project. It's right now, it's a helicopter access project, but one of the keys, as I've mentioned, is the access. And this is what it looks like there. So not your typical Golden Triangle kind of terrain, a little bit more subdued. This is Kinniskin Lake, and in the lower right-hand corner you can see the power line route and the road and the highway, which is about 5 hours drive north of Terrace. So a full-service community there. This is a view from our project looking out toward the highway, kind of in that upper background there. That's where the highway is. So relatively subdued relief. You can see in the lower central part, that's the saddle ridge where the zone comes across the ridge. So that's where we're doing most of the work, or have done most of the work in 2017. Another view of that, a little bit more winter-like there in October, and a bit further back to the south. The saddle ridge is kind of in the center part there. Our camp you can see just to the right center, just to get a better idea. And ultimately, should we proceed to the point where we've really outlined an economic deposit and everything goes well, otherwise the access would be up that central valley, and so quite doable in terms of an engineering. This is the part I'm going to basically skip. We're in rocks of the Stikine terrain. That's where we are up in northwest BC. It's close to quite a well-developed fold belt, so definitely been deformed. And just looking in a little bit closer, northwest corner of the Bowser Basin. We'll zoom in just a bit more close. And one of the things about this neck of the woods is all the good deposits, or all the best deposits, are in the older rocks that are lying along the margin of this Bowser Basin Skeena fold belt. So we're going to just zoom in there. Again, I'm not going to go through the geology, but I'll just highlight that what we're going to be doing is looking to the east, basically along the trace of that arrow, which is really a regional anticline that brings up the older rocks with early Jurassic deposits on the north and south dipping off and away from the core anticline. So we're going to that's our property position, that's where the saddle is, and we're going to look to the east along that arrow in this view. So there's the highway out toward the east of our property. There's Tatoga, basically it's a coffee stop. Iskut, the village of Iskut, where a lot of our workers reside. Red Chris Mine in the distance there, about 20-25 K away. And now we'll just sort of outline where we had our focus. So this is a view showing all the soil samples which were taken really and what resulted in the discovery. So we were following up some great values in the soil, and we'll be looking at this pattern in the soil. So these are contoured soils with purple and reds being, greater than 200 to 300 to 500 ppb in the soil. So pretty much mineable soils right to surface there. So keep those patterns in view. We'll be revisiting those as we go through the next bunch of figures. So the southern part, the Saddle South, was what we focused most of our drilling on, but the Saddle North also has some good gold intercepts, and it has some really interesting copper gold upside on its eastern end. So we'll revisit that a little bit later. So there's our soil anomaly: Saddle South, Saddle North. What are these things? And what are they related to? Well, kind of right down the middle, that mag anomaly. So this is the mag, airborne mag. And there's a mag high whipping right through the middle there. That's related to sort of an intrusive system, just to give you sort of a sense of what the geophysics is like. And there's a sort of a low mag low on the south side, Saddle South, mag low on the north with Saddle North, marginal to these intrusions. And out on the east end, there's porphyry copper gold potential. And really, the Saddle North is kind of a mixture of kind of a porphyry copper gold signature and the epithermal gold. So it's a little bit trickier to figure out, but we focused mainly on the epithermal gold this past year. We'll continue with that, and then we'll go after the copper gold to some degree. This is another view of the regional magnetics, and you can see that same pattern right down the middle, some more regional kind of stratigraphic patterns, and off in the distance there, the Red Chris Mine. So on a similar trend to what we see at Saddle. Okay, now here's where things got really interesting in 2006. This is the soil geochemical pattern and some soil samples that we took right down the middle of the Saddle South system that kind of drove our exploration. So this is that pattern that we overlaid on the topography in the previous view. And what's amazing about this property is really what the tenor of the soil geochem was. So we got up to 2 ounces in soil, basically mineable soils right at surface. So pretty amazing soil geochemistry. And that's what we went after this past year. So this is basically the same view. Looking down, there's our soil geochemical pattern with the highs. Again, purple is plus 500 ppb. And that pattern kind of gets interrupted toward the southwest, and that's because we have a rock glacier coming down from higher elevation to the south. So that actually sort of masks the potential in that direction, and that's one of the places where we're going to have a lot of focus this year. So this is what we did last year. Again, this is a brand new discovery. So we started off with some RC holes up on the ridge where things aren't well exposed, but where we had some nice soil geochem. And then we followed up with these red dots, which are the collars for the diamond drill holes that we drilled. And we drilled about 16,000 meters of core there last summer. And those are the drill holes projected to surface, and those were our significant intercepts. So anything greater than, say, 2 meters and greater than 5 grams per ton. So a nice east-west trend, and we're going to look a little closer now at that trend. Pretty much east-west, but a little bit more to the west-northwest. And we're going to just run a bunch of sections through that. So now we're looking at the same plan view, looking down at all the soil or all the drill core geochemistry projected to surface. So drill hole traces with the balloons representing the larger balloons representing the better intercepts. And what we're going to do is look at this trend as a bunch of sort of long sections, approximately 400 meters a long section. So that along that whole trend, the zone comes to surface. It's about 50 to 150 meters across, and plunges to the west where it's open beneath that rock glacier that we show kind of cuts off the soil anomaly. So the zone isn't really cut off at all. It's just plunging beneath there, and there's low-grade material coming down the hill that masks the soil geochemical anomaly. So we're just going to step through these long sections from north to south, and show you that this Saddle South zone has a very, very nice continuity. So again, with any gold deposit, you're looking for grade, you're looking for thickness, you're looking for continuity. We have all three of those things, so got a great start to things with this new discovery. So stepping from north to south now, you see the zone gets a little bit shows a bit better continuity, getting better still, even better still as we're getting to the center part of the zone. Right in the center here, we're going to just linger and show you what some of the numbers look like. So in that central long section, you can see the nice westerly plunge, open still to the west, and this gives you an idea of what some of the grades and intercepts were like. So these are the individual assays. We've got some great assays, both in gold and in some places with great silver grades as well. And then we're going to lump the composite intervals on the same section, so incorporating some of the post-mineral dikes, etc., we still end up with some really great intercepts there. So 25 meters, almost 8 grams, 7.5 over 6, lots of great numbers. Some really broad intercepts of a little bit lower grade, some a little bit narrower and higher grade. So some excellent composite intervals on this west plunging system. And then as you step south, again, these sections are actually projected in 15-meter thick sections, so they're still looking pretty good, and we got this really nice core, and as you keep going south, it weakens a bit. So now just a quick look at the mineralization. We sort of have three styles of mineralized veins. I'm just going to show the two that give you the best grade just for time reasons. But here's what our best looking mineralization looks like. It's sort of semi-massive to massive sulfide. Yields our best numbers. So you get things kind of like this. And I should just back that up one. And overall, that gives you a number that's more like 7 grams over 7 meters, something like that. So this is what they look like in detail. The massive sulfides. I'm not going forward here. Oh, there we go. Okay, sometimes there's a bit of zinc in there, so generally it's pyritic, and there's mainly pyrite in this too, but the sort of muted-looking sulfide there is sphalerite, the sulfide of zinc. And the metallurgy is great, and the reason for that in this massive sulfide is that the gold is in fractures and marginal to the pyrite for the most part. So there's just a little bit tied up in the pyrite, and we're getting great returns, pushing 90% and a little over for gold in the massive in all the sulfides. So that's a petrographic shot. Another one. There the gold's in the carbonate that goes with the pyrite. And then there's this other style that also yields some really nice intercepts, just these really pretty looking pinstripe kind of veins, epithermal type textures, coliform banding with pyrite in the center of the veins, mainly carbonate, but some quartz as well. Sometimes they're just almost all sulfide, this thin vein style. And often there's pretty good support, so disseminated sulfides marginal to the veins, as you can see here. And these things, as I say, they don't necessarily look like that much. There may not be that many veins, but they still yield some pretty darn nice grades. So, overall you get, it can vary from sample to sample, but here about 3.5 meters at about 9 grams. So really, really nice looking stuff. So just to emphasize before I go into what our plans are, new discovery, close to infrastructure, high grade epithermal, great metallurgy, good continuity, width, comes right to surface. And it also has legs, so we've had intercepts that are significant down 500 meters below surface. So plenty of room for expansion and fully funded for this year. So we got about $9-10 million in the bank, and we're going to drill up close to 20,000 meters. So just going to run through the blue sky here quickly. We got basically 3 areas that we're going to tackle. First is this Saddle South area. We're going to continue to explore. The west side, beneath this rock glacier in the lower left there, that system, that east-west trending system, does continue under the rock glacier, and we're just going to drill it. That's where the greed comes in. That's where most of the upside is. And this is what it looks like. As you're looking east along this system, you're looking and you're seeing some drill rigs there. That's where the zone is. The little red circles show the drill rigs or the drill pads, and we're going to drill under that pile of rock that's just closer to us in this view. That's another view of it. And we had the one hole you can see down on the lower left of that view. That's a drill rig. That was a big step out at the end of the year. We had some great looking alterations, some nice looking mineralization that didn't really carry massive values, but we're really hopeful that that's a good place to look. And we're pretty confident that it will be. That's what we call a rock pile. The second area of potential is out on the east side of that, and just looking in a little bit more detail at that soil anomaly. Again, the purples are plus 500. We drilled a couple of holes out there, and on one of the holes in this IP anomaly, so this is a chargeability anomaly that reflects the pyrite in the alteration and mineralization, we got a very nice intercept out there. So just one drill hole out there that hit really well. The other drill hole did hit a number of zones. They ran a little bit lower grade, but we're not too worried about that. One drill hole does not make a mine. And there's those true drill rigs when they're drilling in October. So you can see that, toward October it gets a little bit nasty up there, but still quite workable. And that was that's the section of that uppermost hole, that farthest away hole. That nice intercepts there. But, there's another intercept there that's 2.5 grams over more than 10 meters. So we like the potential out on the east side as well. Finally, there's this third zone, the Saddle North, where we had some good intercepts on the west side, and we've got a very interesting porphyry target out on the east side I'll just discuss. This is an IP map showing IP chargeability, and you can see there's just a massive IP high out on the east side, out on the east side there. And we just drilled a hole right at the end of the season in Saddle North out on the east side. So this is the mag. So the mag is coincident with IP out there, just a classic porphyry target, but also a target that's covered. So that's the hole we drilled right at the end of the season. That's what it looks like. So it's about 20-25 meters of overburden out there. No one knew a porphyry existed there, and yet it's only about 20K from Red Chris, which is a fabulous porphyry deposit. There's the drill hole being drilled, and there's what we got. And what we found was that there were intrusive rocks that were mineralized from top to bottom. Not quite ore grade, but as Bob Dickinson mentioned to me when he saw this, he said, that's a fantastic hole. That's already within pit grade on your first hole. So pretty excited about that. And also pretty excited about the grade. It's got good gold, good copper, and the bottom, it's getting better. So it just gets better steadily down. We just ended it just to find out what we were there. We were pushing the season, so we pulled out and didn't really realize it was as good as it was, or we probably would have kept going for a little longer. But we're very excited about that target out on the east side of Saddle North. There's the IP with the mag over top of it. You can see the bullseye there. So, new discovery, close to infrastructure, high-grade epithermal deposit, excellent metallurgy, great continuity, width, comes right to surface, so it should be cheap to mine if we ever get to that. System extends to depth, plenty of room for expansion, and we're fully funded for a great program this year. And here we are with our capital structure. If you have any questions, buttonhole me afterwards. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles.